Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to Prime Live. I'm so privileged and incredibly honored to be joined by an inspiring and motivational guest. We are honored to have today Nhlanhla Fortunate Ngele, who is an emerging author from the north side of Johannesburg. Growing up in the dusty streets of Zandspruit, Nhlanhla faced many challenges, but found her purpose through her writing. Her first book, A Diary of a Black Girl Child, became a powerful tool for her to own her healing journey as a victim of gender-based violence at a very young age. Now, through her book, Nhlanhla shares her story of pain, forgiveness, as well as empowerment. She has inspired other women who have faced similar hardships to rise and reclaim their power and believe in themselves again. Good evening, Nhlanhla, and thank you so much for joining us on Prime Live.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me as well.
I mean, just from your introduction, I'm already inspired and so ready to get started with our conversation.
Yes.
But before we delve a bit more into, the book, can you tell us a bit more about your background and what really drew you to the idea of writing?
My idea of writing came about when I was actually in a very, very, very dark place, and then I was just looking for something that will actually pull me up, and I was like scared. I even told myself that, you know what, let me just end my life because this is actually not happening for me. But then I decided to take a pen one day and just write, and then I started writing about where I grew up. Then one thing came to my mind to say, why don't you write about your experiences, like how you grew up, and then what is it that you want for yourself. Then I started writing. I used my phone to write this book. It really helped me a lot. I always laugh about it to say that this phone got me to where I am today. And then I grew up in Zandspruit. It's a squatter camp that is full of a lot of people. A lot of people are there, and then you get too busy into whatever that's happening around you. So I grew up there as a child. I was a very bubbly, lovely child. But after I was a victim, then I started withdrawing from everything that was happening around. I started not going out anymore. I started actually staying at home, being that child who's always closed doors, who's lonely and all of that. And then I grew up. It took me years to actually write this book. It took me a lot of years. Growing up, I had anger issues as well. I would get angry. I would snap. I would draw out. Like a lot of things were happening in my life. But then I did not know what was the trauma about it. So me writing this book was actually a healing for myself. I wanted to take myself out of that dark hole. This book really helped me. It took me out, and then by writing the book I realized that I found healing. Why don't I use this book to also help other women around who also need the healing like I did? And that's what I did.
No, that's absolutely amazing. And the fact that you wrote this with your smartphone is something I've never heard of. And I absolutely love that because we are in a modern world, where you can do anything just from the tip of your fingers. And the fact that you produced this amazing piece of art from, your difficult experiences. And like you said, writing this book was a healing journey for you, and it helped you put your pain on paper and allowed you also not to just heal yourself, but I know that this book has been and will continue to be instrumental to other victims who can look at your story and find, themselves in this book and in this journey, and also heal along the journey with you. And it is an amazing book, and it really helped you also find your purpose, it seems, to heal others through the difficult experiences that you also had. But writing is also deeply personal. And like you said, it took you a while to do that. It's a very vulnerable thing to put your most difficult experiences and your heart and soul into pages for the whole world to be able to read. It is a vulnerable experience, and I really commend you on your ability to do that. What sort of challenges did you face when you were writing this book? Was there any moments where you experienced some challenges? Can you share those challenges with us, and maybe also how you managed to overcome them?
Okay. I always use this to say through writing I healed, and through reading you can heal too. As I was writing this book, I think I wrote about 5 chapters. Then I decided to say, I went back to read the book. Then I was like, nah. am I ready for the world to actually know me like this? Am I fit enough? Will I be able to answer the questions that people are going to ask me? Will I be able to live after people know this truth? And then something deep down told me, you know what? You decided to start this, so you are going to finish this. So I carried on. Somewhere around chapter 15 as well, I took back, put my phone aside, and then said, you know what? Let me stop with this thing because it's going to cost me so much pain. And then one day I looked myself in the mirror. Then I was like, you would never get over this if you do not want the world to know you as the person that you are. And you will never help another young girl who's also experiencing the same thing that you've experienced. So with this, you're not only helping yourself, but you are helping someone who's also there with the same situation, who wants to also come out and actually live. And after writing this book, I had a lot of women who also came to me, who confessed their stories as well, who wanted, how did you do it, Nhlanhla? How can I do it? And then even though the stories are not the same, but I do manage to say, with this situation, you can take yourself out of this like this. Like, I don't want women to actually be determine themselves after the rape as useless, as nothing, as not worthy, as I want them to actually learn to use that being a victim. I don't usually say I am a victim, I say I'm a survivor. I want you to use that and survive on that, and also be able to help another person who's also going through the same thing.
I really love that, and I think I'm also going to change my vocabulary now when I talk about it, and I'm going to say survivor instead of victim. My mom was also a victim of domestic violence, so I'm going to say survivor instead of victim. I love that, and I love that you're using your platform to empower. And like you said, sharing your worst experiences is something that is very vulnerable. But like you said, there's so many women who can look at your experience and say, you know what, I actually felt like that. And the thing about being violated or abused in any type of way, it draws a lot of power away from you. And that's often what pushes women to feel silenced and to feel small. And I love that in your journey, in sharing your journey and showing that recovery is possible, that empowerment afterwards is possible, can absolutely inspire other women out of that dark place that violation often pushes you into. Now, this book is doing amazingly well, and a lot of our viewers actually want to know, what are some of the key takeaways or key messages that you want people to be able to receive from your book?
I want people to read my story. Any person can have a story. I do not actually write this book for women only or a girl child only. I also write it for men. Like, if you can understand the pain that you're going to put me through as a woman, I'm sure if you read this book, you will understand that you can stop it by understanding the cause and the effect that you're going to do afterwards. I want people to read this book and use it as a tool, and use my experiences as to say, her situation did not determine where she is going. I can also be something else that I want to be in this world. She did not stop because of that. She went on and seek forgiveness, not only from the person that who did her wrong, but from within herself, because forgiveness is all about you. It's not about the other person. So I decide to forgive myself first and forgive the person, even without him having to come and ask for forgiveness. I sat down and I said, you know what? I would not hold on to this anger anymore. I'll release it. But me releasing it, it's not in a violent way, but in writing. So that's why I said through writing, I healed. Through reading, you can heal as well. So I want them to get the book and actually be inspired by my story.
What you said is so powerful, and that the biggest step to healing is forgiveness.
Yes.
Forgiving yourself and forgiving your perpetrator as well. And that holding on to that scenario, that situation, or not giving that forgiveness is actually holding you back, not your perpetrator. It's only holding you back from moving forward and reaching that full potential. For our viewers tonight, what sort of advice would you give to them from your journey, from your wealth of experience and the knowledge you've gained over the healing journey, and also with your experience in healing others, what is some of the, tips that you would share with our viewers tonight, whether they're going through a difficult experience or whether they are thinking about writing a book and it's kind of just an idea that's sitting there, but they haven't fully been able to commit to it just as yet?
Okay, what I will say to them is that they can do it. They have power within themselves. It's just that they just have to wake up and look themselves in the mirror and say, I can do it. I can actually be whatever that I want to be. And then those who wants to write a book, I would say to them, just take that phone, take that pen, start writing, start. As long, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So with that one step that you decided to write, just one chapter, the next day you'll finish another chapter. Then the following day, you would end up even enjoying writing, because that's writing. Once you start writing one page, you will understand that you go even 60 pages, more and more and more and more. And then what else I would like to say to them is that they should actually seek forgiveness within themselves. No one is going to come and actually give them forgiveness, but they must look inside them, sit with themselves down and say, I want to forgive myself, even though I was not the wrong one, but I want to forgive myself so that I can be able to live.
That's some incredibly powerful advice. I think that when you are a victim, or a survivor rather, we're changing it today. When you are a survivor, and you often blame yourself for a lot of things. Why was I in that place in the first place? Why did I put myself in that situation? And unfortunately, from outside factors as well, they comment on things like, oh, but you were wearing this, oh, but you were doing this, why were you in the company of men? And I think that society has a way to bring you down even further. And that's why I think what you've said is so important, is that self-belief, that irrespective of what your circumstances are, irrespective of what people are saying on the outside, you must believe in yourself first and foremost, and you must be the biggest believer in yourself. A lot of our viewers actually want to know where they can get a copy of your book. How can they stay in touch with you? Are you on any social media platforms?
Yes, I am. They can get a book from me. I also do send it via Pexi if they can want it. It's 150 per copy, and it's what I normally do. I post on my social media. My name on Facebook is Nhlanhla Ngele. Then also on TikTok it's at Ngele, and we can just DM me. Then I'll be able to share the book with them.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that information. And Nhlanhla, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for joining us on the show, for being vulnerable with us, for sharing your story, and for putting those painful experiences into writing, so that women who have the opportunity to engage with you, to read your book and learn from your story, can also find their voices and reach that sense of empowerment, and reach that point in their lives where they feel like, you know what, I actually survived.
I actually can survive. I did say in my book on page, I think it's page 5, I said some women do not live to see the day where justice is being served to them. And then some women, they can't even talk about it, because most of the people that do this to them are the people inside the family. So they are scared to actually voice out. But I want to tell them today that if you can just tell just one person, so that you can offload the load on your shoulders, trust me, you'll be able to live.
For joining us once again.
Thank you for having me as well.
Viewers at home, that was Nhlanhla Ngele, who is an inspiring individual. If I've learned anything from our experience and from our conversation today, is take back your power. You are a survivor. And if we have any viewers in our audience this evening who have experienced something similar to what Nhlanhla has, please do get a copy of her book, engage with her, and like she said, you are a survivor, and your journey to empowerment is right there. All you need to do is just take that step. And if there are any aspiring authors, remember what Nhlanhla said, just start. Just start and it will all come naturally to you.